Word. Awesome. All right. Hello, everyone. WLC Volleyball. I wanted to wear my shirt that you gave me. I have a WLC Volleyball shirt, but I wore it to work on Wednesday and then I worked out in it and did not do laundry. So it is not suitable for me to wear. But so we are going to do our workshop today on just building confidence in ourselves and also each other. It'll be a little bit of individual work, some discussion, and then some partner work as well. If you guys want sort of like a follow-up workshop that we can do in person, if I have time in my schedule, I had some more like communication stuff that I tried to work in as a Zoom, but I didn't think it would be as effective. So there's like kind of follow-up stuff we can always do if we want to schedule one like as the spring gets going. But this today will be a little bit more individual work. I just asked that you guys have like paper and pen to write with, and then if you have any questions or anything, like stop me at any point. And we're gonna kind of get going from there. Also, if you didn't hear me talking about, my video has been really whack on Zoom this week. So if it gets really weird and I have to stop it, that's why, but I think we should be good. All right, so today's workshop, we're going to break down building confidence in ourselves. So I'm going to talk about a lot about maximizing our self-talk to build confidence and moving on from mistakes. I'll get into what that looks like. We're going to talk about different forms of self-talk that I like to break down when I work with athletes, and then which I believe are most helpful and useful. So I think self-talk is just this really broad way to say like the things we say to ourselves. I'm going to make it a little bit more specific so it's not just like this grab word, and hopefully be super helpful. And then confidence in each other is going to be a lot about communication. So how we communicate with one another, you guys will do some work with that. And then different ways of communication that I think are really effective and honestly necessary. And just as an aside, like, as you guys know, communication in volleyball, man, it's like a skill just as important as hitting and serving and passing. We really need to be as sharp about that as we do our physical skills. So super important stuff. All right, our first sort of topic here, confidence in ourselves. So I'm going to use this phrase, be in the yellow, that I will explain in a second, that I think is the most effective way to build confidence in yourself, and really especially like moving on from mistakes and as you're playing in tight games, like it's a good phrase to come back on, being in the yellow. I'm going to talk about what that means. So I believe in my work that self-talk can be broken down into 3 different categories. So our first category is red light thinking. So if you imagine a stoplight, we got the red light thinking. That is our negative self-talk. So any, athlete on planet Earth has had negative self-talk, or really any human. It's so easy to get down on ourselves. Negative self-talk is really focused on like the past, the mistakes we've made. It's rooted in a lot of like anxiety. So it's like saying things like, I can't pass today, or we're not going to win today. It's never rooted in reality because it's all about stuff that's not actually currently happening, but it's super negative. I will never encourage negative self-talk ever, bar none. It's not happening. So that's kind of red light thinking. Green light thinking is positive self-talk. And this might be kind of a hot take, but I also don't love green light thinking. And I'm going to explain why, because I think that a lot of times when we're like just trying to be positive or like say positive things to ourselves, it's not always realistic. So sometimes like positive thinking can sound like, oh, we're definitely going to win today, or we're like, I'm so good at this. It's not bad. It's not going to make you feel bad about yourself, but it's also not realistic. And it's not like telling me, what do I need to do to win? So if you guys are approaching a match and your self-talk is all green light, we're going to win, we're so good, this other team stinks, like whatever, it's just not super helpful because it's not telling me what I have to do to win. And we also can't predict the future, so it's not realistic. So be positive in your presence, be positive with teammates. I would say if you are just the positive thinker, I don't think it's the best way to build confidence. And I'm going to explain why when I get into the third category. So no, totally avoid it, but I don't love it as like our general, like, let's be positive. I would rather us as athletes be neutral. So that's yellow light thinking. So let's talk about what that means. So we have our negative, kind of takes away. Positive is like unrealistic. Neutral is essentially like present focused. And it takes us from asking ourselves, like, what am I feeling, to the question, what do I need to do? So that would be more like, okay, we're approaching this match. If I'm being super positive, I'm saying we're definitely going to win. If I'm being neutral, I'm saying these are the cues I need to remember in my service eve. This is how we want to run our offense. And this is what I need to do on my setting. This is my footwork. Really like kind of like a game plan, probably more like feedback you would get from a coach, really neutral. So it's not bringing in any emotions or feelings. And I don't want us to totally ignore those, but it's just really asking the question, what do I need to do? So that's being in the yellow. It's just like the really regular, like, I'm not going to get too high or too low. I'm just going to tell myself what I need to do. Any questions? I know I'm going through this. Please stop me if you guys have any questions about this. Raise your hand. Any questions about this so far? Breaking down our stoplight. Good. Awesome. Okay, let's practice this now. So enough of me just blabbing about it. Let's practice this now. So I want you guys to imagine this scenario that we've all been in as volleyball players. Imagine you're playing your conference rival and you guys just dropped the third set. So now you're down 2-1. So you got a little bit of battle ahead. Sometimes going into that fourth set, we feel a little bit worried, backs against the wall. We got to win this one. We're starting to lose some confidence. We're going to practice writing down what each of these categories of self-talk would sound like in this scenario. So I don't want you guys to be in the red ever, but let's like talk about what that might sound like in the past. So I'm going to give an example, and then I want you guys to take a minute or two to write out maybe some common red light thinking that you've had in the past in this scenario, or a similar scenario, or something you've heard teammates say before. So my examples would be like, it's going to be so hard to win the next set. The team we're playing is so good. I passed horribly and probably will again. So common red light thoughts. I want you guys to take a couple minutes, write down what that might sound like for you. You could draw out the stoplight if you want. You don't need to. It's just kind of a good visual to have. So take a couple minutes. I'll give you guys about 2 or 3 minutes to write out some common like red light thoughts that you might have in this scenario. All right. If you're still writing, that's okay. We're going to move on to our green light. So that would be like the overly positive. This one's pretty important to kind of break down like why this isn't the best thing ever, but why it's so common, especially I think in like female athletes, that we try to just be super positive. Again, I don't want you to avoid this always. I just don't think it's always super helpful in this scenario. So some common green light thoughts that I wrote down are saying like, we're definitely going to win the next set. We're so much better than this team. I'm the best passer in the world. That one's a little dramatic, but I put it on purpose to say like, this is some of the stuff we try to say to ourselves that don't necessarily make me feel better, like because they're not true, but maybe just kind of set the tone of positivity. So why don't you guys take a couple minutes, same thing, write down maybe some common like green light, overly positive thoughts that you've said in the past, or you've heard teammates say in the past. I think like, you know, the first two are, I think, are pretty common that I've heard in my time of playing and as coaching. But go ahead, write down some examples of your own. All right, now moving on to the important being in the yellow. What would some neutral thoughts in this scenario sound like? So my examples were, we can communicate well, and that always helps our offense. Let's serve away from their libero. I will keep my shoulders down and serve receive. So that's not, you know, pumping me up and like that's not really bringing me down either. That's just telling me what I need to do, and if I do these things, I'm going to feel really good about my play. I'm going to feel a lot better about our chances to win. So this could be specific to your position, this could be specific to your team. What are some like neutral thoughts that you would have, or things that you might say to teammates in this situation that would be way more like in the yellow? So why don't you write down some of those examples now? All right, awesome. Really good stuff to practice. I think this is something you could also do just like in your daily life. Like if you have a test coming up or a paper to write, really easy to remind yourself, like, am I being in the yellow? Like what can I do to make myself feel better about this that is just really neutral? So really good stuff to practice. On this same sort of vein, I want to talk about how being in yellow can also help us like stay present. So as you see, this is the map of the Boston Marathon. Why do I have this? I like to think of like a match, especially a 5-set match in college, or even like a really long set is almost like a marathon. So if we're at set number 1 in a match, that's like the start, and then our finish line is set number 5. I think often, especially as volleyball players, we find ourselves wandering down the marathon route and thinking about miles that we have nothing that we can do about. We can't control anything else ahead of us, instead of focusing on what to do in the present. What I mean by that is, if you've ever been in a set, let's say you guys are down like 20 to 15, I think oftentimes volleyball players, like, we start thinking about the next set because we kind of chalk that one up as an L, or we start thinking about like, all right, like, well, if we don't win this one, we can win the next one, we could still force a 5th set. Those mindsets, I think, really get in the way of our confidence too, because it's going to take away from our present play. So if you're at mile 7 on this marathon map and you're already thinking about mile 22, like, it's going to be really hard to finish mile 7 or do that effectively. So this is more of a visual I want you guys to have. If you find yourself like in set number 2 and you're kind of losing and you lost the first set, already thinking about the next set, good thing to kind of reset and be like, what can I do actually in this set to win this one? What should I change about my play? What should my teammates change about our play? It's really helpful visual to remind ourselves to just stay really present. So I want to work that in because I think that's, with our self-talk is important, but I think our mindset sometimes takes us to the future when we got to be focusing on what we're doing in the present to kind of help our play too and just build more confidence. So how do we practice these things that we've talked about in the first part of our talk? So drawing out the stoplight, like after practices or between matches or sets, can be super helpful. So asking yourself, like, am I in the yellow today? Am I trying to be like overly positive? Did I have a bad day and I'm kind of in the red? Like bringing yourself back to that neutral state of like asking yourself, what can I do about this? Or what should I be doing differently? Just like check-ins like that, super simple. I think it's way easier to practice it outside of practice than in the gym to kind of build the mindset up a little bit. And then once you're in the gym, you practice it in practice, and then it's easier to do your matches, kind of building up. It's hard to change mindset, so it's a good way to do it. Another thing I want you guys, like, just as I talked about with the marathon map, is staying present in matches and during tournaments or like, long sets or something. So a great way to do this, if you find yourself in that scenario I just talked about, you're in the middle of a match and you're thinking about the next set, or you're thinking about the final point and you're only at point 10, find a spot in the gym that's going to be your reset spot. And that's going to be the spot that you look at, whether that's like a poster or a spot on the wall, that's going to remind you to stay present, to be like, nope, I got to get back to actually what I'm doing right now. If that spot in the gym is yellow, I don't think there's much yellow in the gym at WLC, but like if you can find a yellow spot in that gym and another gym, like super helpful. The visuals I'm really big on because I think it's good reminders just to kind of bring us back to that present, really helpful stuff. So kind of about being neutral, staying present. I think that's a great way to build confidence. It's not always about like pumping you up, and it can't always be about seeing ourselves succeed because we can't always be succeeding. This is a great way to do it. So this is kind of like our part 1, building confidence in ourselves. Let's shift to, and this will be a little bit more discussion with you guys, building confidence in each other. So my big thing I talked about before, building confidence in each other takes communication. There's a lot of different ways to do this. Our first activity is going to be done through active listening. So I think above all things, communication involves listening, which means like responses that are relevant to each other, reflections, retaining information. I think all of that helps build really good listening skills on the court. So we're actually taking in the information our coaches are telling us, what our teammates are telling us, really important. And I think any team that really wants to succeed understands and respects their teammates and the way they communicate. So we're going to do a really simple activity that's going to practice this. And we might have uneven numbers, which is totally okay. So if there's a group of 3 that gets broken out in here, I believe we have 11, so I'll do 5 different kind of breakout rooms here. But what you guys are going to do basically is you'll be randomly paired and broken off into breakout rooms. We'll have a listener and a talker, and all time you get 2 minutes to talk about your winter break. So the highs and the lows, any travel plans, volleyball workouts you did, etc. This might be stuff you guys already know about each other, but it's just, time that I want us to work on communication. I'll message out time's up, and that means switch the roles. So the listener then will become a talker. The important thing is that we're actually listening, because then when we come back as a group, I'm going to have you guys share what your partner shared as the emphasis on paying attention to what people are saying. So I'm going to set up these breakout rooms. There's going to be 5 of them. If I don't think I get assigned to one, but generally if you get assigned to one, you can stay in and do the activity too if you want, or just bounce out, up to you. So I'm going to see how this goes. I'm going to move someone into one second. move to 5 and then. All right, awesome. So you guys can go ahead and join the rooms. I'm going to time 2 minutes and then I'll bring everyone back in. Or I'll tell you guys to switch and then I'll bring everyone back in after about 4 minutes. Okay.
I'm going to work while they do that.
Great. Yeah, I had to move. You're in a room of 3, so I just moved it around, so it should be all good. It should be coming back. Awesome. Cool. All right, I'm gonna go. I can see who is in each room. So my group of 3, room number 1. First of all, I'm curious to see how you guys manage that so you get all the time to talk, but why don't you guys share out what you heard from your partners in your room?
I can go first. So I am going to talk about Roni, Emily. So she started off the break by working. She works at Aaron's and she built snow blowers. And then she spent during Christmas a lot of time with her family and her grandparents at their grandparents' house. And their grandparents surprised them with going to South Carolina again this next summer. So she's excited about that. And then also, she's just been hanging out with friends and catching up with them.
Awesome. Thank you, Lily.
Of course.
Next up.
I'll go next. So I'm focusing on Lily, and she pretty much just hung out with people and went to her siblings' basketball games, which she was very interested in about because I'm pretty sure she used to play. But and yeah, she's just been hanging out, working out, watching basketball.
Cool. Thank you. Thank you. Next up.
All right, so Courtney started out the break by going to Florida with her friends. And this was her first time like going there without family. And she said that they drove back in the middle of the snowstorm. So it took like the 19-hour trip took them like 28 hours.
Oh my God.
And she also came back to a new house. So her parents moved during first semester. So yeah.
Nice. Also, man, the snowstorms were crazy. What a weird week. Awesome. Good work, room number one. All right, room number two. Looks like there's only one of you left. So
Yeah, I'll go.
okay.
Kayla had to go to work because she was at work, but she was on her lunch break
Okay.
and her lunch break was done. So she had to leave. But we spent most of the time trying to figure out how to unmute her. So that was fun. My video's not working. Her sound wasn't working. So, but I did find out she got her wisdom teeth out.
All
And
right.
she could only eat applesauce and mashed potatoes for a week. So that was a low, but that's
Yeah.
it.
Definitely. Well, thank you for pursuing it under those circumstances. Good problem solving skills. I love it. Also, that diet sounds not great. So
Yeah, I
not
said I would be really hungry.
yeah, 100%. Oh my goodness. All right. Thank you. Room number three.
Okay.
You can go. I'll go
Okay.
second.
Okay.
You can go.
So Autumn is never here for Christmas, and she usually goes to like Texas or Washington. So this year they were here, so it was like something different, and she said she really enjoyed it. Her grandparents came into town, and then their family friends came into town for New Year's Eve. She ran a volleyball camp with some WLC girls. I think Kylie, Cara, and I forget who else was there. Oh, Emma. And then she saw a lot of friends, got to catch up with people, and she's been coaching the men's WLC volleyball team, keeping stats.
Cool. Thank you, Bailey.
Bailey did not do a lot over break. She like obviously saw a lot of family. All her family lives in Wisconsin, so she got to do that, which was cool for Christmas. Otherwise she's been coaching club volleyball. So the beginning of their season was right when break started, so she got to get to know all of them, which is fun. I'm excited for her for that. And then she's been lifting a lot, and I see her like every day, so because she is with my brother every day. But yeah, she got to see all her high school friends and catch up with all of them too. So
Cool. Awesome. Go club volleyball. I love it. Good job, you guys. Room number four.
Okay. So Mars went to Jamaica, which was really cool, and she's been like working out a lot. Her favorite part, she said, was like the Dunn's River Falls, and that she got to climb a waterfall, and she also saw like some really cool animals like squid and barracuda. So yeah, I'm really jealous. I'm also a marine biology major, and I'm really excited to take this trip. So it was fun hearing about it.
Awesome. That is really cool.
And then Hannah talked to me. So this winter break, she's been reading a lot. She told me she read 12 books, which I think I've read 12 books in maybe the last 5 years, but that's okay. Good for Hannah. So she's on her 13th one, I think, To Kill a Mockingbird. She's been baking a lot. She loves to bake brownies and cookies. She has just been kind of at home working out. And yeah, she's kind of just been just chilling at home.
Awesome.
Wait, and she also is, in February, she's getting her dive certification to join the Marine Bio Dive Club. So
Wow.
yes, so that's exciting.
All right, Hannah, nice. Nice job, ladies, of room 4. And then my last room.
Okay, so Elise was traveling a ton this break. She went to Arizona for like 17 days, which is like about half of our break. She was there doing a bunch of mission trips and a lot of work, like spreading the gospel, which she really loved. She found her passion and she discovered like what she really wants to do with her life and like looking forward to her future. And she also went to some conferences in like the Midwest too. So she was gone a lot, which was good though for like just escaping from the winter weather. So I don't blame her.
Cool. Thank you. Emma.
Oh, sorry. What'd you say, Mary?
Oh, you're good.
Oh, okay. Well, Emma and I accidentally missed your message to switch. So I just got a couple glimpses of what Emma got to do, but she got to spend a lot of time in San Diego, and I saw some really cool pictures from that. And I remember from last semester, she also spent Christmas with her boyfriend. So I was going to ask her about that. But yeah, it sounds like if I had to guess, she spent a lot of time with family and probably also got to play some volleyball.
Very cool. Agreed. Awesome. Thank you guys. I know this seems like a simple activity. Part of it, I like you guys getting to catch up a little bit with each other, a little bit of team building, but also like, man, it feels pretty good to just share about yourself and have someone listen. And it's a great way to build different communication skills. It's like ingrained in my head from grad school. I have to do it as a counselor, but like, it's so nice to have a teammate, a friend, someone that's actually kind of listening and reflecting back what you are saying. So that's kind of part 1 of our communication, a great way to build as you guys go through the semester too. I know it's different in the spring. I'm not sure what your schedule is like for playing and practicing, but these are kind of skills that I want you guys to keep incorporating just as check-ins with each other and stuff like that. So our next activity and our final activity in communication. Oh, I just kind of debriefed all of that stuff anyways, so we're just going to skip over this. Our next sort of activity in communication will be something I like to call letter to a teammate. So for this, you guys just need a blank piece of paper. And this is building off of what we talked about in the first part of our session, kind of what we just did here, really about building confidence in each other through communication and support. So you guys are going to imagine a time, or just kind of make it up in your head, a time when a teammate was really struggling in a match. Let's say they've gotten aced a couple times, or they're not really finding their footing, or, you know, missed a couple serves. Like, I know we've all been there individually. If you can imagine a time a teammate was there, or just, you know, kind of pretend it happened. I want you to imagine a time a teammate was really struggling. Let's say that you guys took some time after the match, or even during the match, to say a few words to this teammate. I want you to imagine what that might sound like what sort of support you might give to this teammate. So what you're going to do is kind of write out a letter. So put dear and then just a blank spot. I don't want you to put a name. So you could put dear and then like a line. And then I want you to write a letter as if you could write something to them to build them back up in this scenario, so they can feel pretty good about themselves and the way they played. So I want you guys to take a couple minutes, be really specific and as encouraging as you want to be. Definitely don't name any names, but write down like what you might say to a teammate that really struggled to like move on from mistakes in the match, really seemed to not have a lot of confidence, and write it out as if you're writing a letter to them. So go ahead and take a couple minutes to do that. All right, a couple more minutes. All right, if you're still writing, totally good. Looks like most people are done, so I'm gonna tell you guys what we're gonna do with this. So I want you to take that piece of paper and fold it up as if you are going to like put it in an envelope to send to this person. Once you have it folded up, I want you to actually address the letter to yourself. So on the outside of it, once you fold it up, put dear and then actually your name. And then once you guys have done that, I want you to reread the letter as if you're writing that to yourself and not this teammate. So everything you just wrote for this teammate now is kind of addressed to yourself. So take a second, reread all the stuff you just wrote, but this is going to be actually from you to you and not you to a teammate. All right, awesome. Let's talk about why we did this. Little self-compassion for us on this Friday morning. So I think that to me, it feels often like it's really hard. We get in spots where it feels hard to build up our teammates when we're being hard on ourselves. Sometimes it's just hard to build up ourselves in general, especially after mistakes. So this is a great way to remind ourselves that we really should be practicing the same amount of positivity and compassion for ourselves as we do for our teammates, and then also reminders to be compassionate towards our teammates too, especially when they're struggling, when our team is struggling. And I think that's something that gets lost sometimes in volleyball. It's our communication is so quick because the game is moving and moving. We don't have a lot of time to reach out to a team and be like, hey, are you doing okay? Are you good? You know, like in the middle of a match. But I think it's so important. And then to do that to ourselves too, like these check-ins are so really important. And I think that our communication with ourselves and our teammates should be kind of like the neutral stuff we talked about, but also like encouraging. And when I say positive language, I don't mean it has to be like cheerleadery, but like avoiding words like don't and can't and like really action based. So this activity is a great way to remind ourselves to check in with our teammates, but also like really check in with ourselves and like watch how we're talking to ourselves, kind of wrapping up like our beginning of a workshop to now, like really forcing you guys to think about like, what are the ways I speak to myself throughout the day, but also on the volleyball court. So super important stuff. Really good job with that. All right, our summary. So as I'm sure I drove home in the beginning, I think neutral thinking is our best form of self-talk, be in the yellow. If you forget this, just ask yourself, like, what do I need to do? If you feel like anxiety levels rising, if you're stressed about a match or a drill or a test, or like, even if you're like fighting with a friend, like it's such a great way to calm our anxiety, just give us more confidence to be really action forward and like, what can I do about this situation? What's in my control? I also want to remind you guys that I think successful teams effectively communicate. So being really specific about our communication, being encouraging, instructional, all these things we kind of worked on. I don't know what you guys wrote in your letters, but I'm sure it included a lot of that stuff. And I think that's really important. And then kind of watching the way we speak to ourselves. because it really should be compassionate. I think it's a great way to kind of sum that all up. I will stick around for a minute just in case you guys have any questions or anything, but I just want to say I really appreciate your participation today. I know you're taking time out of your last couple of days of break, but you guys, I love working with college students because you guys are in it and you're focused, and I saw you guys writing and stuff, and it's really cool to see. So as you guys know, I'm on campus. I'm there Wednesdays and Fridays. So if you ever want to meet or just like pop by, or if you just have like a quick, thing you want to talk about in the world of like sports psych, and I'm available, like I want to make myself available for that. I know it's not technically my job at WLC, but it's my job outside of WLC and I love doing it. So if you guys ever want to chat or like bring me in again for a time to meet with the team, I'm totally down with that. Like I told you when I met with you guys a couple months ago, like I'm biased because I love volleyball and I played it and I coach it and it's the best thing ever. So I'll help all athletes, but you guys, anything you need, let me know. But thank you guys for participating today. I'll hang around for a little bit, but otherwise you guys are good to go. So thank you.
Thank you, Mary.
Thank you.
Thanks,
you.
Mary.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.